Good morning, everyone. I think it's 9:03, and I think more or less everybody has joined. My name is Ulrich Hoppe. I'm the Director General of the German-British Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and I would like to welcome you to our seminar on insurance implications of Brexit. And we are very grateful to our members, Sutton Winson and Dr. Hörtkorn, who are going to lead us through the individual issues. This seminar is part of a series of webinars which we organize on different topics on how to deal with the new framework in terms of trade and service provision between the EU and the UK. In the past few months, we've organized a number of webinars on the movement of goods and tax and customs issues, but also on immigration. But now we would like to focus on specific industries. And of course, the financial service sector is a key sector in both our countries. And of course, we also hear a lot about the banking sector as part of the financial services sector. But I think the insurance sector is also a crucially important sector, which we don't read much about in the media. But nevertheless, it's a key sector for many businesses. And therefore, we're really grateful for the experts from Sutton Winson and Dr. Hörtkorn from Germany. And it is Joe Parry who will be leading us through the webinar. He's the head of international at Sutton Winson, and then also Norbert Knau, who is the head of international at Dr. Hörtkorn in Germany, will present, and then we'll also have a Q&A session. And really, on that note, I would like now to hand over to Joe Parry from Sutton Winson. So over to you, Joe.
Thank you, Ulrich, and welcome everyone to our webinar on life after Brexit. As Ulrich said, this is a topic that has gone somewhat underreported in the UK and European media, and the impact Brexit has had on insurance for businesses operating cross borders in either the UK, Germany, or wider in Europe. So we will take you through the presentation. We have tried to keep it as simple as possible because I'm sure, as many of you know, insurance can get rather complicated, and so we've tried to simplify it for you. But please do use the Q&A function to ask any questions, which there will be time for at the end, and we'll get through as many of those as we can. So if we'll move on. So this is a brief overview of what we're going to cover today. So we'll make some formal introductions and give a brief background on both Norbert and my experience and our respective businesses. We're very pleased to be working with the Chamber, and we joined recently as members at the beginning of this year, and we're just saying beforehand how we're looking forward to meeting many of you in person as and when we're able to. And then we'll walk through, we'll take a brief step back to remind ourselves what happened, and then go through the kind of key changes and considerations for your insurance policies now. Next slide, please, Ben. So my name is Joe Parry. I'm head of international at Sutton Winson. I hold the Chartered Insurance Broker qualification here in the UK, and I've worked in the insurance industry for over 15 years now. My day-to-day, I manage the insurance needs of many large multinational businesses across various industries and in various countries. And as a business, we're about 140 so people, and we'll come on to a bit more about what we do next. Norbert.
Hello, I'm Norbert Knau from Hörtkorn Insurance Broker. A warm welcome from me to all of you, and good morning. I've worked many years in the German insurance industries, and it's absolutely a pleasure for me to install international insurance programs, and that's what we do together. So Joe, please take over and introduce Sutton Winson.
Sure. So as I mentioned, Sutton Winson, we're around 140 staff in the UK with 2 offices in Sussex and Twickenham in London. We're one of the largest fully independent brokers in the UK, And as we'll discuss later on, being independent is very, very important to us, as it is to Dr. Hörtkorn in Germany and all of our partners of the Unibar network around the world. Again, as a broker, we are chartered, so that is a sign of our commitment to quality, which means our people generally hold a minimum level of qualification, and we also hold the Investors in People Gold standard, which is relevant to again training and how we develop our people to make sure our clients get the best possible service. So in the images there is just a summary of the core things that we do. So we are a general insurance broker, so we look after businesses of all sizes and types, from small SME businesses to large corporate and publicly traded businesses. We have several parts of our business that complement each other. So we have a separate risk management consultancy that works with a lot of our insurance clients, as does our private clients team and employee benefits team. And then we have some specialist areas of our business as well for certain industries, such as recruitment and payroll, sports clubs, and some other things. Over to you, Norbert.
Yeah. Who is a Hörtkorn insurance broker? With more than 200 employees, we are one of the leading German-owned led insurance brokers and specialized in supporting international companies. We are located in the south of Germany with our head office in Heilbronn and 8 branches all over Germany. And we work with our own US subsidiaries, a joint venture between an US insurance broker, it's called JKJ, Johnson Kendall Johnson, and us. And this broker is located in Philadelphia, is licensed and active in all US states. So it's a very strong relationship. We are focused on multinational mid-sized companies, and the international clients are one of our target branches. So we handle incoming and outgoing business as well. And we are very proud of an award we have just received. Clients from the 19 leading insurance brokers were asked, and we took first place in the customer satisfaction category. That makes us very proud and show that we make international the job as we do. So next slide, please.
So we thought it'd be useful to remind you all briefly of what happened. As we can see there, you know, Brexit actually started many years ago now, 5 years ago almost, when the UK voted to leave the EU, and of course. It was a long process with a few obstacles along the way. And we were originally due to leave in March 2019, which was then extended. And we had a year from, the whole of 2020 to prepare. And it's useful to look back at how Brexit became, because, and as we'll discuss here, in many ways, despite the time it took for the UK to leave the EU, many industries were somewhat unprepared, meaning that even now, after Brexit has happened, it's taken some time to understand actually what Brexit means. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, we officially left the EU on the 1st of January, and we are now starting to see the impact of that. Certainly on insurance, and I'm sure many of you are seeing it more broadly with friction on trade and how you carry out your business. Next slide, please. So what does a hard Brexit mean to us in financial services and particularly insurance? It is the end of what we call our passporting rights. So the end of the ability for the UK to participate in the single market in the EU. and be part of and trade freely across the EU without separate licensing or legislation. And likewise, the same applies to Europe trading in the UK. So as I'm sure you may be aware, the insurance industry is heavily regulated. We have our own regulator in the UK, namely the Financial Conduct Authority. So now, any European brokers who want to insure businesses in the UK either need to be licensed by the FCA, as we call them, the Financial Conduct Authority, or they need to be working with a local broker here. And likewise in Europe, if we want to directly work with European companies, then we now need to be licensed in each country that we're looking to work in, or we utilize the support of partner brokers, which we'll come on to shortly. So what has changed from an insurance perspective? And I touched on it a second ago. So UK and German companies can no longer insure their subsidiaries or operations under a single policy, which they could do before. As I say, being part of the single market in the EU meant that you could have operations in several countries in Europe and essentially cover them all under one what we call a multinational policy, and without getting too technical, that on what's called a freedom of services basis. So with the change in legislation, that can no longer be done. Typically, cover will be insurance cover for all of a business's operations will be arranged by the parent company in whatever country they are based. So if the parent company was based in the UK, but they have a German subsidiary, the UK parent company can still arrange that cover. However, us in the UK can have no interaction with the German subsidiary, and a local policy must now be issued in Germany, for example, or whichever European country the subsidiary is based. And it took some time for, as you can imagine, we'd done an awful lot of work on this last year, and there was a lot of uncertainty from insurance companies, both in the UK and Europe, as to exactly how they were going to operate after the 1st of January. And it took some time to understand what it all meant. But what we're now seeing is that most insurers, both in the UK and Europe, are now insisting that separate policies are issued, certainly in the UK and in Europe. And it's important to say that as the EU still exists, there could be several European subsidiaries, but only one European policy needs to be issued, and they can all be covered under the same policy. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that just gives you some idea of who can deal with who, really, and who can who we can take instruction from. So the global client would be the parent company. So if they were based in the UK, the controlling broker would be us, Sutton Winston in the UK. We would manage all of the insurance requirements for the business around the world, and certainly any in Germany or wider Europe. The parent company would have a global insurance company that could provide the necessary cover in all of the countries that they operate. So after Brexit, as you can see there in the bottom line, the local client, which would be a subsidiary, say in Germany, can only deal with their parent company, the global client. we would appoint a local broker in the same country as the subsidiary, which in this example would be Dr. Hörtkorn in Germany. So they would support us dealing with the German subsidiary as part of the wider program. And then a separate policy would be issued by the global insurer by their local office in Germany. We can share this presentation afterwards, so you don't need to study that too hard, but it's useful to see who can interact with who now and understand why. Next slide.
How insurance should be arranged post-Brexit. Oh, well, the EU and the UK have agreed on a trade agreement for Brexit. But the trade agreement does not cover the finance and insurance sectors. So separate policies must now be issued in the UK and Germany to an authorized broker in each country. And that's very important that you have the possibility to work in each country, and in your country you're authorized by government and insurance. Local policies, Joe told us, can be arranged on behalf of UK or German subsidiaries by the parent company. And the TPR and Brexit clause enables insurance cover arranged in the EU for UK companies and as well, and in UK for EU companies to continue unaffected until the first renewal of the 1st of 2021. But all of this means that insurance contracts will have to be changed in 2021. FOS, freedom of service, applies in the European Union. And the European Union, it is possible for a company to insure all European Union risk in one insurance contract. That's not possible anymore now between the European Union and the UK. So companies headquartered in the UK can no longer fully insure their EU risks subsidiaries through an insurance contract in the UK. Local insurance contracts must be taken out. The same applies to companies with headquartered in the European Union and branch in Great Britain. An international insurance program is usually installed by an insurance broker, by their insurance brokers. In addition to the master insurance coverage at the company's headquarters, local insurance contracts are also concluded. That's very important. That's a big change, and we have to do this in 2021. The next slide, please. Yeah, not all brokers have the knowledge and experience in arranging insurance for overseas operations and for creating international insurance programs. There you have to have a real separate knowledge, not to focus only on a local market, as well as focus on the international market, and to know how works international integrated corporate programs. So Sutton Winston and Hörtkorn can provide worldwide service quickly and economically, supported by a global network of more than 90 independent insurance brokers with presence in over 160 countries and more than 5,000 employees. It's a pleasure to me to be part of the Univar Partners Network, where Hörtkorn Insurance Broker and Sutton Winston is part of. The Univar network is absolutely very unique, and it works with a lot of personal contacts, and we know each other. Though it's absolutely fine to create together international programs and get solutions for problems, as to change international programs to a local solution with an international master. So Ben, the next slide, please.
So kind of nearing the end of the presentation, and as I mentioned at the beginning, we've purposely tried to keep it simple, and hopefully if you were to take any key messages away from today, they are that if you are a UK company with a German subsidiary or operations, or a German company with UK operations, then there will need to be changes if they haven't been made already, to the way your insurance policies are structured. It's very important that you deal with someone that has experience in arranging insurance cover overseas in different countries, be that Europe or beyond, or the UK. And equally, as Norbert said, we are part of Unibar network, so can provide service in really any country in the world. So to summarize what we've discussed this morning, so Brexit meant there was no deal for financial services as a result of Brexit. Whether or not one may come later on, we will wait and see. However, for the time being, it has changed the way insurance needs to be arranged, and of course that's set out in legislation. So the implications of not making the correct changes mean that your claim could be affected or even denied in some cases, because insurers can now only pay claims in specific countries, and cover needs to be arranged correctly to do that. And there can also be tax implications again if say cover is being provided centrally by the parent company with no local policies in place in Europe, then there can be tax and other implications, fines, penalties for that, which are the main restrictions on how UK and EU companies can be insured now. So hopefully, hopefully it's clear that it's really important that you have quality service and advice to the parent company by an insurance broker that knows what they're doing, but also that insurance broker has the right network of brokers and partners around the world to deliver a local service to your subsidiaries wherever you may need them, whether that's Europe or anywhere else in the world. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Insurance and Brexit together can be quite a heavy subject for first thing in the morning on a Wednesday. So hopefully that has been somewhat informative. We'll take some questions now, so please continue to ask questions. We'll get to as many of them as we can. So great, we've had a question from Celine, which says, if you have your parent company in Germany and no subsidiary in the UK, but you have activities and employees in the UK, is it possible to arrange an insurance cover in the UK with a local broker such as Sutton Winston? Norbert, as it's related to a German company, do you want to answer that one?
And in this case, we will speak with our partner in Univar Network with Sutton Winston, and they will arrange the necessary insurance cover for you.
Yeah. So I guess the message is, if you have activities and employees in the UK, then yeah, certainly the best option is to arrange a local policy in the UK. But the important thing to say is that should be done by the parent company working with their broker in Germany. So the policies are all issued by the same insurer, and it's all linked together, shall I say. I should add that not all insurers can provide kind of overseas cover. So again, it's dealing with someone that understands the right insurers.
We should check all things, because you do not know if you need a workers' compensation insurance in UK, or is it fully possible to insure it here in Germany, because it's no own company in UK. But we have to check all the facts to do that and to give them very good support.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Celine. Thank you for that. One from Alison. Thank you, Alison. So we have a silent German company, but everything goes to our UK company. what would those implications be? Shall I answer that, Norbert?
Yes, sure.
Yep. So if it's a silent German company with no real activity, shall we say, in Germany, or people or assets, then that's okay. There will be some considerations. For example, if you purchase directors and officers liability insurance, which I'm sure you probably do, it's making sure the German company is included in that, just in case there are any legal or regulatory issues in Germany. So there are a couple of things to think about, but as providing you don't have any like I say, assets or actual activities or people happening in Germany, then that's fine.
Yeah, you told Joe, insurance should be checked also as well. Maybe you need a legal aid insurance to be safe if you are a silent company in Germany, and you can focus it on a UK contract. That will be possible.
I think what we often say to people as well is we're happy to give advice on local requirements either in the UK or Germany, such as this, and it may be that actually what you're doing at the moment doesn't require any changes or any additional thoughts, but it's always good to talk that through with someone, say on the ground in the UK or Germany, just to make sure. So thank you, Alison.
May I just ask a question, because I don't see one in the chat at the moment? And
of course.
And you mentioned, Joe, that of course now if you are a global company, and then you need to have a separate insurance policy in the UK if you are a European-based company, or the other way around. Will that be a problem? Because sometimes you want to insure risk the same way. And of course, if you have a local insurance contract, and that will to some extent be standardized. So you will have potentially different types of cover, because that's what the market in the UK bears, or the other way around. And will that complicate things for companies in terms of achieving uniform insurance cover? And that I think is probably an extra cost in the end, because then you need to have individualized insurance contracts if you want to have a uniform cover, and that might not be possible for smaller companies. Is that a challenge you are seeing at the moment, or is that too early to say at the moment?
It's a good question, Ulrich, actually, because so what's and you are right. If each subsidiary, shall we say, around the world arranged their own insurance cover, it would all be very different because of the local markets and the availability of cover in each country. So that's where it's important that the parent company kind of arranges cover centrally and has some control over what covers in place, and they can set the minimum standards or requirements, and likewise they will work with a broker and insurer who can issue policies, consistent policies in every country that will, in the main, all provide the same cover to all companies around the world. There will always be some local differences, customary differences in each country, but that's where it's important to have what we call a global or master policy in say the UK or Germany, that has local policies issued around the world as part of that arrangement. And the parent, there is a central cover as part of the master policy that also gives kind of umbrella cover around the world, should we say, again, that creates consistency. But in terms of cost is again a good point, because a policy such as that will be more expensive, say, than one that is just covering the UK operation or the German operation. But generally speaking, we find the additional cost is worth the kind of control and consistency you get, especially when there's a claim as well. And again, you have support from a broker in each country, which can be quite important as well, rather than each subsidiary arranging cover on their own. And of course, if there's claims or issues, then that can become quite difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Norbert, to that?
Yeah, one more thing. It's absolutely helpful to work in a strong way together when you place a local contract and you have a master policy over it, because you have the different limit and different conditions cover, and it must be close together, that the ground is on the local coverage and the umbrella is over the master within the master policy within the international program. And that should be a short work between both brokers in both countries within the Univa network, in this case with Sutton Winston and us, to work closely to get no double insurance, to get clearness, to bring all local specifications inside the policy, and to know the local market as well as the other market, or with the knowledge of our co-broker. That would be fantastic, and that's the way we work.
One just quickly on that as well. One thing we can do, and we all have access to a kind of a global system and software that tells us exactly what's required in each country legally, and again, customary covers that may be typically bought. So if a business is expanding into a new country, for example, we're able to tell them exactly what cover they need, or what cover they should have, and then also introduce them to a broker there as well.
And often we clarified in a short discussion, because the understanding of insurance maybe is
Yes.
a little bit different to the understanding in Germany. And so we have to bring it together and to make clearness and transparency in all of our things we do together.
Yep. So a couple more questions, which is great. So one from Daniel. Does the impact of Brexit on insurances impact a UK limited as a subsidiary of a European company, and a UK branch differently? Shall I answer that one, Norbert?
Yeah.
So if Daniel, if you are a UK limited company but a subsidiary of a larger European company, then we would expect that the European parent company would be arranging cover centrally, and that's a local policy issued with the same insurer as the global policy is issued in the UK. In lots of cases, parent companies do allow subsidiaries to arrange their own insurance, but going back to the consistency, and often it's easier to get a higher level of cover through a centrally arranged policy by the parent company than it is for perhaps a smaller UK or German subsidiary. If you're just a UK branch and you're kind of separate, you're not part of a group, or a UK business in its own rights, and you're only trading in the UK with no operations in Germany, for example, or Europe, then you're free to, there'll be no impact on your cover by Brexit.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, move on the next question. Are there any change in the market since Brexit happened? Yes, there are some changes, because I think the insurance market will move to a smaller market, because you need to install such programs individual, and there are not so much numbers of international insurers who can handle this and install an international program with the support of the insurance broker. So at first, the insurance broker should be international, as well as in the networks like Univa. And on the other hand, the insurer should be international to provide the support all over the world, and to bring out the contracts in each local country. But I think this is to do by the insurance broker to get this program and to choose out the right insurance company. And what changed another is the situation that it's not easy to bring risk to Lloyd's of London. The situation is that Lloyd's has set up a branch in Brussels. This means that Lloyd's is a registered and established kind of insurer in the European Union. But we all know at the end of the day, all coverages ends up in London again. But they make the step to go to European Union to give the possibility to cover the risk via Brussels to the London market. Should we do something explain about that?
Yes, so in terms of Toma's question about no insurance or financial agreement made under Brexit, that's what Norbert is touching on there, in that the way things need to work in a different way now, so Lloyd's of London, many of you may have heard, it's a global, one of the largest insurance markets in the world, and still covering many businesses and risks around the world, and certainly in Europe. So like many insurers, they set up a European branch in Brussels, whereby any European business has to go through the European branch, who then bring it back into the UK, which is very much the same as most insurance companies now. It's just a change in the way things need to be done. In terms of is there any agreement in the making? I think we don't know any more than I guess what's been publicised in the press. That there is talk of an agreement for financial services, but whether or not that happens and we can once again be part of a single market, we're not sure. But I think what's important is that change, as it stands, changes have happened, and we know that and if there is any agreement, that will take some time to be finalised. So the other thing that we've been working with as well is, and many of you may have experienced this if you've had recent insurance renewals, is that the insurance market generally in the UK and Europe is in a very challenging place, with limited appetite and limited underwriting capacity, so less options, should we say, for us and for businesses, and less competition, which means prices have gone up. Cover is less available than it was, say, a year or 18 months ago. So it is quite challenging at the moment, and as Norbert said, there are already a limited number of insurers who could provide global cover, and that's probably only reduced over the last year or so. So I hope that answers.
May I just add a question, because Norbert touched upon it in terms of Lloyd's setting up operations in Brussels. Do you see that to a large extent, that insurers who didn't have a presence in the UK, but now if they also want to provide global insurance, that they are setting up a presence in the UK? Or do we see now it's becoming more difficult for smaller insurers to actually serve large corporates, because if they're not present in the UK, then a large corporate might go to one of the bigger insurance companies? So will there be some kind of centralization, or the bigger ones gaining at the expense of the smaller insurances?
Yeah, again, a good point, and I think the answer is yes. So all of the larger insurers have done exactly that. They've set up European branches, if they didn't have them already, so that they could continue, providing worldwide or global cover. Insurers, as you say, smaller insurers, either operating just in the UK or say Germany, it's probably not economical for them to do that. That will, and that's where part of the market challenges we've seen have happened, is that again, the number of insurers that we were perhaps able to use before Brexit has reduced, and therefore, with less competition, naturally, prices increase, and less availability of cover. So yes, it has limited the options available, but as I say, most of the larger kind of well-known insurers have set up European businesses.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. But no, I think we have another. No. So I think we've answered all the questions. So thank you everyone for your questions. It's always great to to get some input and understand concerns you will have in this sort of thing. We hope that you found this useful. As I say, we've tried to keep it relatively simple and get across hopefully some key messages in that. If you are trading outside of the country you're based in, you really do need to review the insurance cover you have and make sure the broker you're working with, has the knowledge and experience to be able to support you wherever you're operating in the world. Ulrich, do you want to?
Absolutely. And I think it will be a pleasure for us to share this presentation with all people here in the chat and move on, and hope to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Norbert, for your presentation and also for being able to answer some of the questions. Of course, we've now learned there's still a lot of change in the air with insurance contracts renewals happen this year. So I think for a lot of companies, the year 2021 will be busy in terms of rearranging insurance cover across the European Union or the UK, depending on where they are based with their parent companies. But what I'm taking back from this is really everything is still possible, but it will definitely be more expensive and more complicated. So,
yes.
and I think yes, that's what we see in a lot of other areas. Yes, trade and services trade can continue, will continue, because markets are very important for each other. And I think there are lots of business opportunities, but the extra costs will be there, and it just really then in the end depends on who will cover these extra costs. But I think it was very informative. Thank you all very much for joining us for this webinar. So I hope you all found it interesting. And once again, thank you very much to Joe and Norbert from Sutton Winston and Dr. Hörtkorn. I think it was very good, and we hope to see you all again soon at one of our next webinars discussing practical issues in terms of how to navigate the changes which have come into place from 1st of January 2021. And we'll also, as the German British Chamber of Industry and Commerce, hope to see you soon at one of our physical events, and we hope that that's going to be possible over the summer or towards early autumn, because I think we feel it is also important to have this kind of network and that you can meet people in person and have this friendly chat and trustworthy chat, which is, I think we've arranged this virtually, but I think that's also important as an add-on to our membership. So once again, thank you all very much for joining us, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.